Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art and I am Fatmata. I'm really excited to be here with you to do a reveal of my vacation collection that I did the plans for back in May 2021. So it's been a couple of months. It has not taken me 3 months to make this collection. My friends, I made these 4 garments that I'm going to show you in a week. I sewed them that week of May. Okay. It has taken me so long to produce this video for a myriad of reasons, so many reasons, but the one that I will mention later on in this video is just because there was a make that I wasn't thrilled with, and I kept telling myself I was going to update it and refashion it so that I can show it to you, and it has been months and I still have yet to do it. So I thought to myself, you know what? Just show the people what you made. So I'm going to show you what I made. I will tell you my plans on how I plan to change that, but that's not where we're going to begin. We're going to kick off this video with what I'm wearing. And I absolutely adore this dress. I love it. You should be seeing some images of me wearing it here. Okay. And over here, just look at her. I will also have some images of me in California soaking up the sun on a beach, which is where I wore this dress in all of its glory. And I am so thrilled that I did. The pattern is S8875. If you don't own this pattern, if you have not given it a try, if it is sitting in your stash and you're thinking about it, please make it. Please make it. This dress is one of the most feminine, beautiful, sophisticated. It's just an impeccable dress. I absolutely love it. It has this wonderful sort of, would you call that an empire line bust? I think the line drawings would show it maybe a bit more. So if you can see here, sort of that like beautiful seaming, and then this sort of high-low ruffle detail at the bottom. I basically did view A, but then I added about 10 inches to the bottom ruffle so that I would have a bit more length there. I love the sleeve and the poofiness that it gives. I use this incredible viscose challis from G Street Fabrics. I think this is really what makes the dress. The colors on this fabric are phenomenal. They are all of the colors that I love. So let me show you some things in detail. There you go. So you have these like beautiful olivey greens. I mean, army green, evergreen. You have these burgundies, this beautiful pink, these taupey colors. You have this sort of tan background, this like steel blue that peeks through. Look at this, some chocolate in there. It is just a fabulous, fabulous fabric. And I was so thrilled. I picked this up back in November. I think this was during like their, was it Thanksgiving sale? Like around their Thanksgiving sale at G Street Fabric. So I've had this fabric for quite some time and I was really holding on to it. I think I had about either 3 yards, maybe. And I was thinking of doing palazzo pants. I had many dreams. This in my mind was already going to be 5 different garments. But when I was trying to pick out what to wear for my vacation collection, I knew I wanted dresses. We were going to be in California. I wanted to be easy breezy, one item outfits. I had to add oh my gosh, if I show you the pattern pieces, I think that's the best way for you to get what I had to do. So, oh, I talked about this in my last video where I was trying to decide what to make. And I think at the end of that video, you saw that I had like added a ton of additional fabric to the sides so that my hips would have some breathing room. So I added additional sort of fabric to the sides so the actual pattern does not go out this much. I didn't want to feel uncomfortable, so it was important for me to add that, and it is just so swishy and flowy and fluttery and fabulous. Hopefully you're seeing that. So I already have made another dress like this. I made a green version of this for my birthday out of Ankara fabric. Let me go grab that. I forgot to bring that. Hi. How have you been? I am coming back from a long break from this here YouTube channel. If you've stuck around, thank you. I'm really excited to be back. I have tons of ideas of videos, and I'm just deciding that sometimes they're going to be recorded when it's late with light in the light that I have, because waiting for natural light and all the other things to perfectly align so that I can give you the quality that I believe you deserve sometimes just doesn't work. And I think sometimes it's better for me to put out content that I think is, is timely and well thought out, even if maybe production wise, we have room to grow here on this channel. I completely accept that. And I hope that you all can surely understand that and still support and like and subscribe. And hopefully the content is really good. And you're just here for that, the energy, the excitement. Yeah, but I'm really excited to be back, and I'm going to get out of my own way and share with you. Okay, bye. All right, so here is the green one that I made out of this beautiful, beautiful Ankara fabric, African wax print. I made this dress for my birthday and I got to wear it. I felt fabulous and like a princess. For this one, I cut the bodice out of a size 10 and then did the same grading out at the hip, but I reduced how much I graded out. I am not going to do that moving forward. I think the way that I made my initial dress with the size 12 bodice and grading out as far as I did, even though it was quite extreme, is probably the way I'm going to move forward when I make this dress again, because there will be more, because I think it just gives me the right amount of give. While this fit beautifully for that day, I did feel quite restricted, like I was trying to hold myself in all the time, and I don't necessarily want to be bothered and being self-conscious about that. Hopefully you're seeing some twirls of me in this, but again, I absolutely love it. This in the Ankara fabric, because it's not as wide as some other store-bought fabrics. I think the Ankara fabric I had was about 45 or so inches in width. I ended up using very close to all 6 yards, which was crazy to me. But then I remembered for this dress, I had to piece together the bottom ruffle, which is easiest to see if I show you the inside of the seams. There you go. So that's the bottom ruffle. It's made out of like 4 pieces. So you have the main ruffle, this little bit here that I just serged together, and then this little bit here. But because with the Ankara fabric, I had so much, I think I was just cutting it however I felt like. So I completely get why. I was like, how could I make this dress out of 3 yards of fabric and I'm almost using up all of this? But this was a much wider width, and I had to also kind of hack the bottom skirt. And this one I just kind of cut on the fold because I had so much. Beautiful, beautiful dress. Would absolutely recommend this pattern. Again, that is S8875. Beautiful. And there's so many other views that you can do as well. So back to the vacation collection. The second thing I made was this gorgeous wrap dress. And this is made out of mood fabric. I believe it was called Isle des Arcades. And it was just such a beautiful print. This was a part of my first ever mood fabric purchase, and I absolutely fell in love with this print. So this is a combination of fabrics. It's the same exact print. However, the top, the bodice, I believe is a cotton poplin. And thank you guys for leaving that in the comments. You're exceptional. You saw it and immediately knew based on the characteristics what it was, and you were right. So I believe this was a cotton poplin, and you can see how vibrant the colors are, how rich it is. And the bottom that I used, the skirt, is a cotton voile. So let's talk a little bit about this. I was initially really excited because I had never worked with cotton voile before. Now, when I first got it, I could tell, of course, weight-wise, and the feel of it was different. It is softer to the touch, not as crisp, of course, as the poplin. And initially, I didn't notice much color variation, but as you can see here, I think you can probably see it on the camera too, there is a slight variation. The poplin versus the voile, you're not getting as rich of a color here in the voile. And cotton voile is so light and airy, it doesn't really have as much weight to kind of hold it down. Would you know, the skirt was just flying everywhere. And for the life of me, I was like, do I safety pin it? Like, what am I gonna do to secure this? And I just ended up wearing a pair of bottoms with it. Like, I had these beautiful, like, burgundy-ish, really deep red trousers that I was already wearing, like culottes. And I just kept it on because I would have been exposed. So even now, I find that when I'm wearing this beautiful wrap dress, I still wear things under it, like either a really full green skirt, because it will inevitably kind of open. Even though the wrap is quite extensive, it does go kind of all the way around. So this was self-drafted, and I just used my bodice block and kind of extended it at the sides and just did a self-drafted sort of wrap skirt. I am really proud of myself because I dug into my stash and started using my trim. This is big for me, guys. This is a trim that I was coveting. I was saving it for a special occasion. And when I was sewing, I thought to myself, I'm always going to do that. And I buy these trims when I find them at the thrift store to use them. So at some point, I just got to use them, you know? And I'm really happy I did. So I added some cute little ruffle details. I'm sorry, this came out of the wash. It's not fully pressed, but I tried to make it super flirty and fun and cute. And I added these ruffles here as well. I'm underwhelmed by the ruffles on the collar, to be honest with you. I think if they were a bit, I don't know, weightier, or if the back of the fabric wasn't, you know, like white like that, or not as vibrant as the front, then maybe it would be okay. But because this flips out sometimes and you see the underside of it, I'm not a huge fan. I did stitch this trim kind of right on top. I don't know if I have it in me to like pick, and I did a zigzag stitch. Can you see that? So it is in there. So I don't know if I have it within me to go in and unpick this. So I've just been living with it. But I guess if I really pressed it down nicely, or just like tacked this part down, I could do that. I could just hand tack it down a little bit so it doesn't completely flip over. I think that would be okay. So I hope you've been seeing me twirl around in this and have seen the photos so you could see it in real life. But again, this was self-drafted. It was using mood fabric. And moving forward, I think, like, I've had my experience with cotton voile. In that order, I did get another print that I'm obsessed with in cotton voile, but now I know better. So I think I'm just going to make a top with it and not a dress. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with necessarily how this sort of was hanging and the lack of weight that I really think a proper skirt or bottom really deserves. But the cotton poplin, I love. And this was my first time that I know of, at least, using cotton poplin. I know I've used tons of different cottons before, but not one that I purchased and it was like written that it was a cotton poplin. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this, and I kind of wish I just had made the whole dress out of a cotton poplin now, but can't change that. So I'm really excited, and I am happy that I did get to wear this on the trip. Next up, I really felt like a summer vacation would not be complete without a nice white dress. So I made myself a beautiful white dress, and I'm sorry you can't see the full thing here, but it is pattern number. This is S8888, and it's a pattern hacking one. It's awesome, awesome, Awesome. I circled back here that I did a size small for this, so it comes in like the alphabetical sort of sizes, XX, extra small, up to an extra, extra large. And yeah, I picked small because the finished garment measurements put the bust for a size small at a 37. I think I'm like a 34 bust, so that was way more than enough sort of wiggle room for me. So I felt very comfortable making that. And then because the skirt sort of gathers around the hip, I wasn't too phased. I think I made a larger size, of course, for the hip, but I actually used thrifted fabric for this. So again, hopefully you have seen the plans video for my vacation collection, but in that I shared that I had thrifted this beautiful broidery on glaze cotton curtain. So that was a curtain, and this was the beautiful border at the bottom. So I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. And then at a different thrift store at a Goodwill, I had picked up these table runners that had this broidery on glaze. And I was interested in kind of combining them and putting them together. I think I had just shy of I think maybe a little over a yard of the center fabric, and then the side table runner fabric was like really a narrow strip, which is why I just used it on the front and back panel. I know it's all white, so it's kind of hard to see the contrast, so I'll just come up so you can see it. Now, one of the other things that you'll notice about this is that it is not lined. I was making this collection in quite the rush. As I said, I made it in a week. Many of them up until the night of, this dress in particular. It was stressful. And I kept thinking to myself, if you have spent all this time and you don't even like the dress, I am going to be mad at you if you missed your plane making this dress. But I did make my plane. It was wonderful. I digress. One of the things that I want you to know about this is because it's unlined and white and broidery on glaze, I have not worn this dress since that trip. Not because I don't love it, but because it just takes a lot more mental gymnastics or mental preparation and physical preparation to actually wear it, because I need to be very cognizant of what I'm wearing under it so that I'm not exposing myself, as it were. But otherwise, I think the pattern itself was brilliant. I think I borrowed the sleeve from this dress. So that is the sleeve that I ended up using, and I just made it billowy, added the elastic to the end. You know, I would absolutely make this dress again out of a fabric that I don't have to do as much work to fit into. One of the things that I also added was elastic right here on the sides. I think next time either I would add like a waist tie into the side seams or into these back seams right here, just so I can cinch it in maybe a little bit to give a bit more definition to the waist. But for the purposes of this, because I was running short on time and couldn't figure out how to do this, I just went ahead and put some elastic in just this section here. Because the center is one complete panel, it doesn't have like a complete waist line all the way across. So I didn't want to kind of cut it off, or what if my belt was slipping up and down? That would look strange. So I just put the elastic built into it. I was able to wear this on the trip. Again, haven't worn it since then. I also, because the skirt, I made it so narrow just to make sure that the curtain panel I had fit, right? Like I had to just make use with the limited amount of fabric that I had. The skirt is just like shy, maybe by an inch of what the pattern calls for on both sides. So it does kind of make it a bit more restrictive, and I did not add a slit, but I think I am going to need to go back and add a bit of a slit to the bottom, maybe where that border is on it, because I was walking like this, like my legs could not pass, you know. So I think that's another reason why I have not gravitated towards wearing this again. So I do need to fix that. Otherwise, love this pattern. It's Simplicity S8888. And I think it's really great for color blocking, which is what I'm going to be trying very soon. All right, last but not least, this is actually the reason why, like I said, this video is quite late. Do you remember this fabric? If you watch my plans video, then you know that I was smitten with this fabric. I rewatched that video and I saw how my face lit up. I was standing in the mirror. I had draped it over my shoulders, and there was a way that it just draped like a cowl neck, almost like this. And I was beaming. I could not wait to try making something this beautiful. And I'm kicking myself because in my rush of trying to get all of these dresses, like I really wanted a collection of 4 items, and I was in a rush. I was convinced that I needed to have this, you know, made up into something to bring with me, and wanted to do it in that short time. So then I compromised because I was chickening out. I like sewing sort of in stages. So I wanted to cut as many of the things as possible so that while I was in the sewing space, I could sort of switch between projects if necessary, use the serger and the sewing machine, all of that. I just worked better in that way. So I went ahead, I was at the cutting table, I needed to cut. I had never tried making the cowl neck. I went as far as actually creating a pattern, but was unsure, would it work? Did I want to be testing out something new with such limited time? So I caved and went to something that was more tried and true, if I could put it that way. I've at least made it before. So I used pattern, and excuse the oil stains, but I used S9225, and I had made this in the red collection. So all I did, I just used the sleeve and the bodice for this. Because it was such limited fabric, I felt like this was a decent way to go. I had also been pinning some really beautiful things that had some sort of like gathered detail that was curved, and I was really intrigued by that. So I wanted to mimic it in some way, but did not have time to figure out how they did that, as it was like stitched in, not necessarily the way that I did it. But I went for an easier route, so I thought. And I decided to do it with shearing. So I sheared it in sort of like thicker at the waistline, narrow in the center, and then back out. So sort of like this, if you can. This is strange. Anyways, you should be seeing it on me. Hopefully you'll see the images of me wearing it. But it was rushed. It's not my best work. I had cut out the collar and then was fiddling with it. I didn't have enough time. I needed to get to some of the other projects, and then ended up just going for like a bias bow neckline. I just used the shearing elastic to try and put like a button there for some closure. I didn't want to fiddle with a zipper, so I just did this little situation. It's also sheared in the back. Not the worst thing I've ever made. Not at all. I cut it sort of at an A-line so that it would just kind of, I tried to make the most with the amount of fabric that I had. So I just cut, this is like the bottom of it, just extends from the top of the bodice. And then I just like cut it outward to make an A-line something so that I had room at the bottom and it was flowy and billowy. I never even finished the hem. It's just surged. That's how little time I had. Then I wore it and I was just so not convinced. Not because the dress, it works, like it's wearable, and hopefully you agree if you're seeing the images. But again, when I see how I was beaming looking at this fabric, I felt like it didn't live up to the standards I had for what I know this print and just the fabric had the potential to do. And I just felt like I did the fabric a disservice by kind of rushing the process, not trusting my gut to just say, hey, I don't have time to make the thing I want to make. Put it aside and do it when you do have time. So what ended up happening, I never even took this dress with me on that girls' trip. I was so sort of defeated and bummed out about it that I left it here. I took something else with me that was ready to wear for, whatever night I had planned to wear this. And I was like, well, if you weren't going to take it anyways, you should have really just not done it. But of course, I didn't know that I wasn't going to not take it. So, anyway, I convinced myself that I was going to take the shearing out, salvaged this fabric. I think I'm still going to kind of leave the bodice. I will add the sort of band, the collar, and then make it sort of like a pussy bow blouse. Is it still called a pussy bow if it's in the back? Whatever. I'm going to add like a tail to that and make it long. I'm going to take out the elastic and make an actual cuff. And I think I'm going to use some contrast fabric, which you'll see when I make it. But to do some really interesting detail around the waistline and through the skirt to give more volume and more swishiness, I guess, if I can put it that way. But I do have plans for this, and I convinced myself that I should make it before I did this video, and that hasn't happened yet. So I figure I'll just show you what it looks like now, and we'll all see what it looks like. Yes. All right, guys. So that's all. Those are my 4 makes from the vacation collection, and then my birthday dress from this month. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Long awaited, I'm sure. But I know I'm so excited to finally share the things that I had been making. And it is really nice for me just to see them as a collection, because it is right now, as I'm looking at them hanging up here, inspiring me to get back to the sewing machine and continue to create pieces that make me feel as beautiful as, you know, garments like this dress make me feel. I've reached for this dress at any occasion, whether it's going to the grocery store, visiting my parents, graduation parties. I'm waiting for the baby showers and all the things that I can go to, but I just think it's so versatile and great for any occasion. So if you haven't already, I mean, I can't sing the praises of S8875 enough. And yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Any Hoosers, that's all. Hopefully you stay tuned and subscribe if you enjoy what I shared with you today or would like to see more moving forward. If you're curious, these earrings, hello, I thrifted these. I just realized, my friend just told me, she's like, oh, is it peas and carrots? And I was like, oh, it's peas and carrots. But yeah, they're the best. And anytime I wear this dress, I somehow feel like I have to wear these earrings. They came like this in a set. They're from J. Crew, but I thrifted them, I think about a year or so ago, but I absolutely adore them. And this dress just calls for it. It sings, wear me. So stay creative, guys.